So now um, there are two important things I'm going to start today and uh, today and few weeks. These two important things I did last year also, but I'm repeating this now for the new students in different detailed way because last year I did, but in this session I will be doing little more in more detail. So one of the thing is the React.js, which I already started, but we will drill it more. And the second one is the parse server. So generally we will be doing three database in future, and those are, one is MongoDB, second is MySQL, third is parse server. But parse server is something which I will start now because it will help us to build a lot of projects and it's very interesting. So the React with parse server is makes our project, very like we can build a nice projects based on these two combination. The reason I will be using parse server is we don't need backend to write. Though in parse server we can write some backend, but that is optional, and they are based on the Node.js server, which we will do eventually in few weeks. But even if you don't know the backend, the parse server will solve the purpose of that one. And the React.js will be the front end part. This MongoDB and MySQL we will do soon in few weeks. Okay, so we will do after parse server. We will take these two also. So this is the overall which we will be doing, and in addition to this, we will also do whatever we are doing. The data structures and all that will go for a long time because data structure is a big topic. It may go for a year or 2 years to complete it. So that will go along with these two. The last time I did the linear search, and next is the binary search, which I will do this in this week. Not today, but in this week we'll do. So let's drill down the React.js today, and I expect you don't write anything today. Just try to understand the concept of the React.js today. Let's start the React.js part. So I will go here in my terminal. I'll go to React folder, and then I'll install new project. How many projects are done? 3. So let's create a project 4. I'll say npx create react. You can install this, but then when I explain, you don't write at that time. I will give you time to write in few days, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I'll give you time to write those. But today, try to only understand the logic behind what I am teaching. Create React app. You can install the project, but don't write down anything today. Just listen what I am saying. I will be asking questions, so pay attention. So we'll wait till it get installed. Yeah, we'll wait for a couple of minutes till it gets done. Okay, so till this get installed, I will tell you few more things about the parse server and Firebase. So right now you will see there is a lot of advertisement of Firebase, and I was fan of Firebase few years back, and then I realized the Firebase is not very good structured. So it does not have good structure. So many things we have to do which are not, which takes a longer time. It's a complex thing, and many times we have to do things which are not suitable for the website, and we have to do because Firebase does not support everything. And in Firebase, we cannot even search properly, so no proper searching. If you want to search in our database that who are the users who are male or who are female, so in Firebase it becomes very tedious job. They have made the things little complex, and so I don't advise Firebase to students, though you can do Firebase if you like, but when you go for the production version, Firebase, the more you get users, one second, one second. Yeah, so in Firebase, the more the users are, you have to pay more. So gradually you have to pay more and more to the Firebase, and so it is not advisable to go with the Firebase. And whatever you can do with the Firebase, you can do with the parse server. And parse server is very structured, and you can search whatever you want to search, and it is free. Basically, you can host on your server. So it is free. Whereas Firebase is you have to pay. It is paid version, and you have to pay more when more users will join your website. So it is not advisable to go to Firebase. So if you have a very big website, you may have to end up paying $1,000 or $2,000 per month, which is not really good way to go with it. But with the parse server, no matter the n number of users grow, it is free, and you can use it very freely, and it is very structured. Search is also very good. So basically, the parse server is much better than the Firebase. Previously, if you see all my past projects before 2017, I was using Firebase. But now, since 2-3 years, I'm using parse server, and parse server is much better than the Firebase. So we will be doing parse server more, and whenever I do my real projects, real-time project, production-based, I use parse server. Okay, this is my personal choice. Parse server uses MongoDB in the backend, So we need to learn MongoDB also, but we don't have to directly call the MongoDB. Parse server automatically calls the MongoDB. And we will be creating very fun websites with the parse server and the React.js, and you will see that soon. Okay, so my project is done. So this is the basic project where I will be showing you the basics of the React, which are very important. So I'll go to project 4 and I'll start npm start and then start the process. Okay, so let's do the basic concept in the React.js. So I will go to the project 4. I'll go to the source folder, and in the app.js, so we have so many files already there in the React website. So we will see how to use all the files. Right now I'm only concerned with the app.js. And if you see the app.js, it has few lines of the code there like this. We will delete all this code here in the app.js. You don't need to do anything today. Just watch what I am showing you. So this is my app file. I will just put app here, and let's see the URL, this one. I'll go to this URL. Okay, so it's saying app here. Okay, so whatever I put the app here is saying app here. If I go to index.js, these are the few lines of code. I will discuss these lines of the code later in few days. Right now these are not important for my today's lecture. And this is index.css. I'll delete all the CSS for now. And in the app.css also I'll delete all the CSS because I just want to show without CSS. Let's delete all the CSS. Okay, so this is my app here. Okay, so this is app. So if I go to the app.js, if I want to do any logic, I can do inside this function, or I can do outside function also, depending on what logic I am using it. So I will tell you later on what things you can put outside and what things you have to put inside the function app. So let's first import the React in the beginning line. Right now in the new version of the React, they don't put the React in the first line of the code. So I import the React from the React. So this lecture is very important to understand the basic concepts of the React, and you all should listen to this lecture, and this is very important. I was postponing this lecture since 1 week, but today I'm taking it. Okay, so let's go to the basics of the React today. And those who missed today's class, they can also watch the video, and this is very important lesson for everyone. Okay, so let's go and see what I will be showing. So if you see, this app is a function, and this is called the app, and inside this app we return some HTML tag. So this way of returning the HTML tag or putting the HTML tag inside the function, this is called the JSX language. This is specially created by the Facebook, and this is called JSX language, where we put HTML part inside the function or inside the JavaScript. Generally HTML lives outside the JavaScript, but in React HTML is inserted inside the JavaScript, and the language is called JSX language. This language is created by the Facebook. So whenever we put HTML inside the JavaScript here in the React, this is called the JSX. So generally, if you see, the file name is .js. We can also rename the file name to JSX. It is called app.jsx. So whenever we have the HTML inside the JavaScript, it is called JSX language, and we always will rename that file to JSX. We can also rename it to JS, but I prefer to rename it to JSX because it is using the JSX language. We can use either of them. Let me restart the server again because it's giving the error. It was searching app.js and now we rename it to app.jsx. So once I restart the server, still I will refresh the page and I'm able to see the page. So whenever you create the React page, you should always, if it is HTML inside the JavaScript, then you should always rename it to JSX just for the purpose of knowledge point of view, that you know that this is using the JSX language. Though you can rename it to JavaScript file also, but that is not required. And this app is called the component. So what is app called? Whenever we create a function and have the HTML inside it, this name is called the component. So in React, that is called the component. So whatever name we have, like app, it is a component. So remember, this app is a component, and app should always start with the capital letter. Never create a component with the small letter. So always create a component with the capital letter, and there should be no spacing in this naming convention. I can also create it. I can also create the app using the ES6 version, like using the constant app equal to. I can use arrow function to create the app, and inside that I will put return statement. I'll delete this part. This is also the perfectly correct method to write the app component. So either of way, whatever you prefer, you can use that one. But since we are doing with the ES6 version, rather than using the previous way, I will be using this way to create the components. But if I create the previous way also, it is equally good and equally right to create that one. So let me ask you now a few questions. What is this? This is the component name and this is the component body. So this is actually a component. When I put app, it is a component. So when we put HTML inside JavaScript, what is it called? What language is it called? JSX. Whenever we put HTML inside the JavaScript function, it is called JSX language, and we always create the file with the extension .jsx. This is not required. You can create .js also, but I have created JSX. Okay. Is it okay? I can create this component with small letter or only capital letter? Only capital letters are allowed because small letter is for the HTML tag, like div. Div is the HTML tag. So we should always create the component with the capital letters. Now let's build something in this component. I will build the h1 tag and I'll say this is header. And then after the header, I will create another div tag. I will say this is content. Then I will create another div tag and I will say this is footer. So I created 3 lines of the code. One is the header, one is the content, one is the footer. So I get these 3 lines of the code. Let's put one HR tag, that is horizontal rule, in the footer. So we have the horizontal rule in the footer. Okay, and let's put some BR here so that I should get spacing. I can use CSS also, but for now I'm giving some lines before the footer. So this is the footer. So if you see, this is the one common div here. Okay, and we have all child div here inside it. What will happen if I remove this common div and only put the small child div? Let's check that. So I put all the div here, but I remove the main common div, so it will be giving me the error. Because whenever we create the JSX element, this is called JSX element. Whenever I create JSX element, it should have the one root tag, root HTML tag is needed. So I cannot put all tags separately. It should have one common parent tag. So let's put the common parent tag. Common parent tag can be anything. You can put A tag, you can put P tag. Generally it is put div tag. Okay, so I put div tag and then I put all child tag here. You can also remove div tag and just put empty tag. That also will work. So this is also working. So this is the empty tag. You can also put, there is a special tag called as react.fragment, and you can end that with react.fragment. This is a special fragment tag of the React. Sometimes you don't have div tag or you don't want to use div tag, then you can use the fragment tag, and you will see it is working fine. So either use div tag or use the empty tag or use the React fragment tag. Right now I'm using div tag. Okay, this day. If you only put the child tag and there are multiple child tag, then it will break, because in the React we need one main parent tag or root tag in the React. Now one more thing, let's do one more thing here. Okay, so this header tag, I can also put this header tag in its own component. So for example, I will create another component, header. It is having the arrow function. So this is my header component, and I will take this header component and I will put it inside it. Return header tag. Okay, so I am returning this header tag here. Then I will call this header tag here instead of the header HTML tag, I will call this header component. So to call this header component, I will say less than sign header and closing tag. So I'm closing this header tag. So once if I want to use this component, I can call this component in this component by calling this name in a HTML format, so HTML tag format. So we created this header with the slash greater than sign. So it is a closing HTML tag. So instead of header one writing this header one here, we are writing the header tag. Okay, so we can also call multiple components and we can use it here inside it. Similarly, I can put this content in its own component. So I will create another component. Remember always the component should have the capital letter like this C. And then I'll take this part and I will put it here. Then I will call this content here. Okay, similarly for the footer, I will take this footer part, I will create another component and I will put it there. So I'll say return and I'll paste it here. So if you see, I can call this JSX, that is HTML. Here I'm using round bracket and closing the round bracket. Here I'm not using the round bracket. So it is equally same. If I want to use round bracket, I can use round bracket here also. But if I don't want to use round bracket, then also it is fine. So return should have round bracket and the content HTML, or it can have directly content without round bracket. So it's up to you, whatever you prefer. I can call the footer here. So what I'm doing, So what I'm doing, you see, I created three components here, and I call this three components here. Since this is a small page, so the components are very simple. But when you will build a real website, this each component will be complex. So you can put it in different components. Previously, I was putting everything here. Now I thought, let's divide the content into three different components. So I'm putting it inside three different components. And I'm only calling these components here. I can also put these components in its own file. So for example, I can right click the source folder. I'll create a new component called as header.jsx. I'll create another file, content.jsx, and I'll create another file, footer.jsx. Then what I will put, I will take each component and I will put in respective file. So I'll put it here and I will put header here in this one. And in the end, I will export this header. So whenever I created this component, since I have to use it in another file, so I'll use it export here because I want to export this header file. Okay, similarly, I'll delete header here and I'll then take the content, I'll put it here. Then I will take the footer part, I'll delete the content part here. I'll take the footer part, I'll delete it from here and I will put it here in the footer. And in every file you will see I'm exporting the component. If I don't export it, I will not be able to use it in another file. You don't have to write down today. Tomorrow I will tell you to write down. Today you just try to understand what I'm trying to show you. So here, since I have put all header, content, and footer in different files, so I have to call them in the app.js. I have to import them. Since I have put it here I have exported it. I have to import it here in my app.js file, JSX file. So to import it, I will say import header from ./header file. Since both live in the same folder structure, I have to use ./header. And if it lives in different folder, I will show you next time how to call that different folder here. But right now, just since all the three files are in the same folder, so we can import it from the same folder like this way. Import content from .content. No need to put .jsx here. You can put also, it is perfectly fine, but it is not needed, so you can remove it. And I'll say import footer from footer file. Since all three are in different folder files now, I can call it using these three ways and I can use it here. I called it here, I used it here. Okay, so this is how we import a file and we use it here. If you see, I have written here export default header. What if I don't use this export default? I just export it. So I will say export constant header. So when I use the export without the default, then I cannot call it like this way. So whenever we have something called default like this, then I can call it like this way. But when I something export it, but I don't use the default keyword, then I cannot use the header like this. I have to put the header in the curly bracket. So whenever something is exported but not default, then I can use it, I can import it with the curly bracket. But if something I use it as a default, then I can call it without the curly bracket like this. Okay, let me show you one more thing here. So I'm using the default header here. Let's say if I create one more component called as subheader. And here I will say subheader. And here this I will export it. So only we have one default and others cannot be default. I cannot say export default 2 times because default can only be 1 time, which I already put it here. Okay, so we need to call it as export, and we will export it without default. All other functions will be exported without default. Only one function will be exported as a default one. So to call this subheader, though I have called the header, let's call the header without the curly bracket because this is header is default. Header using the word default. So I can call the header without the curly bracket. But subheader is not using the default. So to call the subheader, I have to use the curly bracket and I will say comma, curly bracket and I will say subheader. Then I can use the subheader also here in this app component. Since subheader is not called with the default keyword, so I have to use it in the curly bracket. But header is created with the default keyword, so I have to call the header without curly bracket. So if I have another subheader, subheader 2, this is also without default because we should have only one default. So this is also without default. So I can use this subheader as a comma separated word, and then I can use it in the component subheader 2. So like this, we can have multiple export component and we can use it here using the curly bracket. And header is created with the export default header. So I am using header without the curly bracket. And okay, so this is the basics of something, curly bracket and non-curly bracket. We will drill more about this. Few more things are remaining in this part, which I will explain you in couple of days. Let's talk about the variables. Let's go to the content. I want to show some variable here. For example, my name is Jack. Okay, so this is I am hard coding Jack here. You can see my name is Jack here. Let's put this Jack in the bold letter. So my name is Jack. This is the Jack. So let's put this Jack in the variable. So I can create a variable. Constant name is equal to Jack. And I can use this variable inside this HTML by putting the variable name in the curly bracket. So I put the curly bracket and I put the name, that is the variable name here. So you will see Jack is showing again. If I change this variable to Tony, you will see the name is changed to Tony. Now what will happen if I create something numeric? So I will say, for example, my age is curly bracket age. So I will create another variable age. So here let's say constant age is equal to 23. So you will see here my age is 23. It's saying 23 here because I created age as a numeric variable and I can see it here. Let's try to create another variable Boolean. Maybe is member equal to true. So here I will say is member and I'll put in the curly bracket. Since it is a variable, I'll put in the curly bracket and I'll put the member is member. So let's see what it's showing. So generally true and false is a Boolean value. So generally it is not, you won't be able to see visibly here kind of thing, but we can convert it into some kind of string. Maybe I can say if is member is true, then display yes, or if it is not true, then display no. So what I am saying, if is member is true, then display yes on the screen, and if its member is not true, that is false, then show the no value on the screen. So right now you will see yes, but if I change to false, you will see no is coming here. So generally true and false value, we have to convert it into the string format, anything, and you have to display it like that. Let's try to take the array. Maybe I can say hobbies. Hobbies I will put chess, movies, eating, whatever you have hobbies, you can put it to your hobbies. And if I want to show this array, I can show in multiple ways. I will show you few ways to show the array. First way is I will just put the hobbies as a variable. So I'll say hobbies. So once I put the hobbies here, and this hobbies is array, we will see the hobbies like chess, movies, eating. So there is no spacing, no comma, just it's showing all my hobbies here. So this is the one way of showing the array. We have multiple ways of showing the array, which I will show you not today, in few days. But just now remember that I was able to display the hobbies at least on the page, but it is displaying without any comma sign. So that's okay. At least I can see something. But to see it in proper format, we will see how to do that. Let's check one more thing. What will happen if we have object? So I'll say const object is equal to key, I will put 1, and I'll say key 2, and I'll say 2. Something like this is the object format. Now what will happen if I put object here? I will put curly bracket and I will put object. So since this is the object, with the key value pairs, and if I display this object on the page, then you will see I'm getting this error. See, you're getting this objects are not valid as a React child. So once we have the object, we cannot display this object on the page. We can display string, numeric format, boolean, array, but when we display the object, it is not appearing, it is giving me the error. So remember, objects are never rendered in the HTML. We have to convert object into the string format or array format to display it on the screen. So for here in this case, I will say just object.key, then it will come fine because object.key is a string which I can see on the page. See, now object is 1. Because I changed the object to string, because object.key is 1, that is the string. So I was able to display on the screen. I can also say object.key2. Then it will come as 2 because key2 is 2. I can also say key3. Though key3 is not there, that means it is undefined. So it is saying it is not showing any value, but it is okay. I can render it on the screen. But as soon as I remove this key part, I put only object, then it will give me the error. So remember that we should not display the object on the HTML page in the React. Okay, so this is only the thing you have to remember. Rest all data types we can print, but only object we cannot print on the screen. So that is the catch you have to remember. Okay, so this is the content, we put the hobbies. Now what I will do, I will show you one more way to show the array on the page. So let's do one more way to show the array on the page. Okay, so I want to show this hobbies on the page in UL tag. If you know UL li tag, so UL tag looks like this one, like this: coffee, tea, milk. So we have the some kind of marking, and we put it different marking here. So I want to show it like this. So I should use this format, this UL tea, coffee, and something like that. So right now I will hard code it, and then I will take the value from hobbies and I will show display it here. So right now I just put UL tag and I put hard coded coffee, tea, and milk. Let's see how it looks. So it is showing coffee, tea, and milk. But instead of coffee, tea, and milk, I want to show my hobbies. So we will take this array and we try to convert it into the coffee, tea, and milk. But that part I will not do today because I think it is too much for today. We will do it that tomorrow. Okay, so what we did today, let's understand that this is a component. We can create number of different components and we can import them in different page using this way. And if the component is having the default, I can call it without curly bracket. But if the component is created without default, I can call it with curly bracket. And in these two cases, I have default component, so I'm calling it without curly bracket. And once I import it, I can call that component with HTML tags like this. A header is one tag, subheader is another tag, and it should have the closing tag also in it. So that is how we display the component. We can break a website into n number of components, and we can call the components here in my main component. So this is what we did with different components. And we also did, we can create any variable and we can display that variable on the page, but we cannot display the objects. Objects cannot be displayed on the page. Okay, so this is, you have to remember it. So that's all for today. Tomorrow what I will do, I will show you how to render these hobbies in this format using the dynamic array values, and I will ask you to write down this all things what I did today. I don't want you to write down today because today you just understand what things we are doing. Tomorrow we will write down whatever I did today. Maybe at home you can watch the recording and do all the things which I did today, so that I should save time for tomorrow. If everyone will do at home, then I will skip that part since you have done, and I will just go to teach more how to render the hobbies on the page. So many of the students who attended last year, they know how to render these hobbies here on the page, but those who are new, I will tell them how to render this hobbies in this format, like this fashion. Okay, so that's it for today. Now for few days, a week or 5-6 days, I will be just doing the React basic concepts. And these are very few concepts. We will not take too much time to complete all the concepts. Most probably in 1 week time, I will be able to cover all the concepts of the React. And then we will move to the path server. That also I'll do in 1 week time. And then we can start building the project. So it is only 2 weeks before you really start working on a React project. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask now.